This is a chronicle of my personal experience exploring the underground car scenes of Japan. Follow my journey and discover the rich culture and history of street racing, drifting, and everything in between, here in the land of the rising sun. This is The Hunters. In this video, which is a continuation of the previous two parts, we'll do a ride-along and I'll give you my detailed thoughts on the experience. Now I'm riding along with one of our members in an Integra Type R. Ride-alongs are a common practice in the Touge and one of the most common ways that Hashiriya learn and teach. When you ride with someone who is a more proficient driver, it teaches you an incredible amount in a very short time. For me, it's like a direct download of information into my brain at the maximum possible bandwidth. I get shown lines which I couldn't see, learn breaking points which I didn't realize were feasible, and I gain an intuitive sense of weight transfer, and strangely of rhythm. Through riding along, I gradually gained the confidence to take a corner a little bit harder the next time around. And while I consider myself a decent driver, who can grasp the concepts of weight transfer and can execute basic skills like heel-toe downshifting relatively proficiently, compared to a lot of my peers, I always feel like there's a huge chasm in skill, which to me comes across as a simple lack of fear, or more precisely, huge balls. There are many rules to riding on a Touge, and some Touge have very different rules and etiquette. Generally, you don't cross the yellow line, and you don't pass other cars, though this differs from Touge to Touge. But usually, you never run at a full 10/10ths. 10/10ths means going at the very limit of your ability, possibly even the limit of your tires. That's way too dangerous, so most drivers run at around 7 or 8/10ths at most. Sometimes an experienced driver's 7/10ths may be a more novice driver's 10/10ths, so it's extremely important to exercise restraint and just go at your own pace, within your limits. The most important thing is always just getting home. On a Touge, safety is paramount, which is why we often have spotters and use walkie-talkies to communicate. Of course, these training runs are conducted always very deep into the night, where the only other cars on the Touge are other Hashiriya from other groups. But despite all the precautions, there's obviously a huge risk to this. Accidents can and do sometimes happen. The concept of running on the Touge, or canyons, or mountain roads, is often frowned upon by people who only push their cars at the track. Yet the truth is, there's a very real tradition of running the Japanese Touge that goes back generations of drivers. Many legendary race drivers, like Keiichi Tsuchiya, famously got their start on the Touge. And even today, you're just as likely to see a middle-aged car enthusiast in his late 50s confidently blasting down the Touge in an absolutely mint R32 GTR, as you are to see a young guy in his 20s who is just learning the way of the Touge while driving an NB Roadster. Part of the Touge tradition is the extremely deliberate and focused development of skill through years of consistent practice. For those who take running on the Touge seriously, it's treated as a discipline. It reminds me of when I was a junior high school teacher at a Japanese school, and every day I watched my students show up early for practice at their various sports clubs, day in, day out, putting in the work to get better. It's exactly the same with Touge. It's just that some people traded in their sports uniforms for high-powered machines as they got older. The activity is different, but the mindset is the same.
Holy shit, that part of the end. How hot are you running? Whoa, very hot. That's the smell of JDM.
Would you like better uphill or downhill?
I don't like the uphill. It feels like it's struggling a bit. But the downhill was like, usually I prefer uphill, but like downhill was nice.
You're a case kid.
The suspension is shit, honestly.
It feels warm now. It feels warm.
Suspension?
So being out here in Hakone in the middle of the night, it really feels like initial D. And I know this is kind of becoming cliche for me to say, but it's really cool now because, you know, with Captain and Stan and the guys, you know, everyone is actually quite serious about learning how to become a faster driver, learning how to become fast but safe on a Touge, and really learning about how the car drives and controls. And there was a moment back there where, you know, I was just standing around with Captain as Stan drove by, and we were talking about how Stan, you know, the way he drives is very intuitive and it reminds us of Keisuke. And then that kind of got me thinking, that's like an initial D, just when like the two OGs are just having a conversation and just having a conversation and talking about theory while the drivers drive by. I mean, it's exactly like an initial D. Like, it's exactly like it. It's so interesting and it's super, super cool to be able to experience this in real life. How was it? Tire? Yeah.
Scary. It's moving all over the place compared to itself. The tire pressure.
These tires are really good.
Yeah.
Well compared.
This
Yep.
tire pressure is too high.
Yeah.
It's just,
This one, right?
it's jelly all over the place.
Going uphill, it was squeaking, right?
I'm not speaking. Just when you're in the corner, you press an accelerator.
Mhm.
The rear just kind of like squishes around. I mean that does it too, but this is like
Not that
it's
obvious.
tires. Yeah, it's not that obvious. Yeah. If you take a ride in Altezza,
Yep.
you won't feel anything.
It's like all flat. It's kind of like a four-wheel drive.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Those Michelins are so good. Previously, he had the same tires as you.
That was a 4S, right?
No, not the 4. It's just the 4.
PS4. Oh.
It's just the 4.
Really, just four?
Just the 4.
Wow. So tires, no good?
We gotta lower the pressure.
I'll probably go back actually, so maybe just leave it because we're gonna go back.
Yeah.
But yeah, for future reference, I think these were 2.2, right? And it was still too low? Or too high?
Now
Too high?
it's 2.4.
Oh, okay.
Mine's still the same.
Still the same.
Still the same, yeah. It's not that big of a difference. I don't know why though.
How's the response from the engine compared to Jackie's?
Same.
Right? I
Same.
thought so. Yeah,
Same.
yeah, it felt the
Same.
same now.
Yours
I haven't driven him.
yours is just like a very bassy sound from the Mugen exhaust.
Yeah,
I honestly prefer the stock.
Yeah, I like this. It has a nice sharper sound. Yeah.
It's a Honda engine sound.
Yeah.
Like that. It's nice.
Yeah.
But
It's nice and idle.
but when you sit in the stock one, oh man.
Yeah, it feels so racy. Yeah, it's got the like motorcycle sound. Like,
This kind of feels a little bit like your Roadster.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
a bit boring unless you go VTEC.
After VTEC.
And I think it's the sound. Like the feeling's the same, but it's the sound is different. So that's why the stock one feels like a little bit more exciting than this one.
Maybe try to find the modular one. The modular one is basically stock,
Yeah.
plus a little bit more. Like it's bassy on the low,
Yeah.
but when it's high, it sounds stock.
All right, it's 3 a.m. or just about. Well, actually no, 2:30, and we're gonna head home. It's a good night. Great night, actually. All right, so we're gonna head off. We're gonna head home now. That was a good night. Good run, guys. Good run. Otsukare-sama-desu. Yep, exhausting. But man, what a satisfying car. I absolutely love this thing. So happy that I'm able to own this and drive it. And yeah, this crew over here, this is super great. I mean, this just feels like real initial D, really. Captain Bradford learned the tradition of running the Touge from a very famous Touge racing club around 15 years ago, and now our goal is to instill aspects of that tradition, such as the notion of deliberate practice, patience, responsibility, and respect, values that transcend motorsports and are actually core values that are found in many different aspects of Japanese culture.